flustering. Entire day of casting, cat on my lap now. Waiting to be fed. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to Game 2 between EG, Machine, and Hey from the Reddit community. 9 o'clock location, we have Machine as the pink Zerg. 3 o'clock location, we have Hey once again as the orange Terran. This is cross positions, and it looks like Hey doing that bottom, and I like this on this map actually, going for the bottom barracks build now, and it looks like Machine did scout close positions as is standard with the Overlord, and he's going to send out a drone scout, and inevitably going to end up scouting Hey last. But he might feel more comfortable at these cross positions, might feel like he's in a better situation to absorb perhaps a Thor drop, get some scouting information with it, and maybe be a little bit more comfortable against the long harass. It looks like Hey is opening up with that double barracks again, though.
Hey, Diggity.
Yeah.
Seahawks won, baby.
Way to go. Congratulations.
So, yeah, just want to take a moment of silence for all those Saints that have died on the Seattle Seahawks field. They are good players, good gentlemen, but they're just not as good as the Seahawks. LOL. Anyways, about this game, we do have, again, I like this opening. You are very apt to point out that the barracks and that depot at the bottom of the ramp hides, again, what's going on at the top of that ramp, and it's, again, another barracks. So the same opening, but this breaks away from what people typically do on this map. Typically, it's like a Hellion into Thor drop or tank drop or some form of cliff play. And again, it's kind of that very apropos, the perceived aggression that this map offers, hurting and changing the way they play. But Machine's actually kind of one of those guys who's just going to do what he's going to do no matter what. So, I mean, whether it's like a Thor drop opening or a Marine opening, I believe he was planning on, fast expanding first anyways.
I do know that Machine absolutely hates this map specifically because of that. That he has a lot of trouble with the Thor drops and defending against the Thor drops because of kind of the style he plays. And it looks like, hey, going for a much faster opening than prior, actually landing those 2 barracks, and with, I think, just 4 Marines out in the field. Actually, it looks like even 3.
It's fast expand build.
Yeah, go immediately into expansion. And
I like
I'm very careful with it too, actually. It looks like building it up on the top, and has a 3rd barracks that he could build to completely seal off that front door. In the meantime, some Zerglings trying to hunt down that SCV. The Marines, they're going to engage. Marine trying to do an end around and flee, and it looks like he is going to be able to get all of his Zerglings out of that. But in the meantime, Machine should be able to scout this because he's got that Overlord just chilling over the top, and I almost wonder if that's why he decided to build that command center up top, to not really reveal the information, even though Machine can see, I believe the the Marines coming out of there. You might think that expansion coming a little bit later, and Machine needs to be very careful about moving that Overlord for even a second out there, because he can lift off that barracks and do this. Wow. Machine gonna lose another Overlord, and Hey, with some fantastic play.
Dude.
Overlords early, just when you lose them like that, are critical.
Well, that seals the deal for me. I'm a Hey fan. I love his building. I love his decision making he's made so far. Machine was poking down there to see, because actually if you check Machine's vision, if you had a time machine, you'd see that he actually still saw the barracks at the base of the ramp. So in kind of a moment of absent-mindedness, he was like, well, I better make sure it's not 3 barracks. So he was just checking. But then, Hey, nullifying the lack of vision on that cliff corner by just lifting very briefly, costing him nothing, and sniping that Overlord. But what it ends up doing is Machine doesn't know. Is he fast expanding, or is he teching behind this? I mean, just earlier, we saw Phoenix open the same way, but then build 2 starports and unleash Banshee hell on the Zerg player, right? So obviously anything is possible. Of course, he's probably leaning in the direction of expanding, but he doesn't know. With that Overlord, that information's gone, so he's got to fight for it some other way.
Looks like Hay is, in fact, landing that fast expansion now. Baneling Nest for Machine is completely disregarding, it looks like, the Thor opening. And he does have the... Well, never mind, I take that back. He's building the second Spinecrawler at that natural expansion, moving in some Zerglings for scouting. Hay dropping that Orbital Command and some Marines to engage those Zerglings, which are immediately turning around, but also getting a factory behind this, a reactor with that barracks, and much faster than Map 1 upgrading. It looks like both Combat Shield and Stim upgrade, although he hasn't... There we go. Started the Combat Shield right as I said it. I feel so proud of myself now. But yeah, Hay in a nice tech position and a decent economic position, although I think Machine does have a considerable lead because at these cross positions without feeling the pressure, he's doing what Machine does. He's up to 44 harvesters already.
Yep, and those Zerglings never idle. It's another very important thing to note. If you can take Mouse Morrow's fantastic creep and Machine's fantastic ling activity, you'd have a pretty damn good Zerg player. Because these Zerglings could just as easily be sitting somewhere, but instead they're staked out at every single Xel'Naga tower and destroying destructible rocks, which he intends to expand to eventually. So just kind of planning for that future, just brilliant play. We do have that Baneling Nest down again, and again, not the speed first, so probably the exact same opening, which is just going to be 6 or 7 mutas and then the speed. But that's a lot of Marines from our player on the other side of the map. So if he's waiting to get some tank composition with that, which it looks like he is, he's also adding a starport, then I think that'll meld very nicely with what Machine's trying to do. But one of the things I do want Machine to be a lot more careful of is that kind of early game Marine play that Select is, to name one guy, very famous for.
Yeah, I almost worry, though, at this stage, it seems like it's going to be tech versus economy currently, because you have Machine getting the Spire up, but you're also going to have that starport, a tank, which is somewhere out in the field, I might have missed it, and Marines moving up to the front. If those Marines decide to go hike up that top ramp, it could be a little bit more difficult for Machine to cope with. It looks like he's also taking this gold expansion simultaneously. He is popping, a tech lab, actually, so he's going Raven first on the starport this time, which is one I'm more familiar with him seeing, also getting the second starport to probably tack a reactor on there. And the Marines engaging the front door, but this might have been a mistake because it looks like, no, using Stimpack to just guide back and forth, he needs to be very, very careful doing this.
Yeah.
Machine without any Banelings out in the field to assassinate this from behind, but knowing Machine, I wouldn't be surprised if he just decides to field a couple Zerglings now, just in case Hay attempts that again to just trap those Marines in and obliterate them if they are so foolhardy to try it another time. Looks like Raven going to be out in the field momentarily. I feel like Hay's in a great position. He's doing pretty well economically, but Machine up to 54 harvesters already does have that gold expansion. If Hay doesn't at least strike now and do some damage, Machine could run away with this just by having such a powerful economy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, again, I really like from the Zerg play we're seeing today is just using what they've got. Look at this Overlord spread around the map. You think a dropship can make it through that network undetected? I think not. And as I say that, Mutalisks making their way over here. They are going to be intercepted by some Mutalisks. Marines. Very good reaction by our Zerg player, who does pale back while only sustaining about 40 damage, about 32 actually, on one Mutas. So not too big of a deal. He's just going to poke and prod around, kind of get an idea of what the army composition is from the Terran player. But more importantly, he's going to force static defenses. So probably some missile turrets are going to go up, but also these Marines have to be split around. So Machine keeping him occupied on his half the map, forcing him out with some static defenses, and in the meantime, macroing up, getting that Baneling speed, and just starting to approach that Machine monster mode that he loves to get into.
Yeah, Machine doing a good job of dodging in between. Looks like he's going to try to pick off a supply depot here. And, some Marines going for an end around. But I have to say, kudos to Hay for having Marines staged there basically the exact moment he needed them staged there to deal with those Mutalisks. Looks like I think Hay's going to press out for an attack here. He's got a couple medevacs now out in the field, 3 siege tanks and a lot of Marines, as well as that Raven. And he's got plenty of Marines to provide some defense. Going to lose his supply depot, which is actually going to supply block him. Not too bad. But yeah, Machine is scary right now with his economy. Has that gold expansion up, is near about 2,000 minerals. As far as his intake, he's got around the 700, 750 mark as far as his gas intake. Just looking at the pure army count, he's 20 supply up, and that's going to get scarier and scarier. So I think, Hay, needs to get a move on. Looks like he's moving out now. The mules are going to see it, and let's see how Machine decides to deal with it.
And Hunter Seeker has been researched, so not a terribly powerful spell, I think, if well handled, but I'll tell you what, it's another one of those things where one mistake, one moment of laxity, and all of a sudden, all your mutas are gone, and here they go. They're going to go right next to those. Oh, one Raven actually goes down almost for free. And these mutas are in that base wreaking havoc. So we actually have no missile turrets up. 2 dropships are going to go down. Marines are getting peeled off. And it looks like this is going to be a kind of a forced all-in by Hay, but he's like elevating into an empty main to ambush an empty natural. And then he stims into a base that doesn't have a hatchery. So, he had an excellent opening. And it's not like he's out of this game just yet, but I'm kind of disappointed with some of the decisions he's making right now.
Yeah, I think he just assumed that was going to happen. He has a split army, though, and this might protect against the Banelings down below. It looks like those siege tanks might get taken out by those Banelings nevertheless. So Machini is going to back off. So he's going to be able to take out this 12 o'clock base at the very least and maybe follow us around. But he just, if you look at his main, Hayes' main has been really just peeled away. Just lost a lot there comparatively. It looks like 56 harvesters currently to 56 for Machine. I always want to keep an eye on that count when you're talking about Machine. Huge engagement here, though. And Hay, right on top of the Banelings where he decided to stop there. So loses his army once again, and it just looks like Machine just walks up and taps them. And it's like, tap, you're out.
This is a guy who's just... He's out of practice. You could just tell. I mean, he opened up beautifully. He had some brilliant moves. But the longer this game goes, like the more his macro's slipping, his money's getting a little bit higher. He's not recreating SCVs, so he's very underpopulated his main. And Machine, a guy who named himself Machine for a reason, is just kind of motoring on ahead. I mean, even he should be doing a better job of spending his money and spreading this creep. But I mean, he's got 2 bases going down to spend some of that money. And his Mutalisers are fully in control of this map. It looks like Hay is just kind of spiraling downwards.
Yeah, I gotta say, it looks like Machine is easily going to be able to take this match and follow this up. 2 Evolution Chambers running, more Mutalisks providing. He's got the Baneling Muta combination. Looks like the Muta's gathering up once again to do some more harassment. Hay, nowhere near an additional expansion. If I was going to say there was a weakness in his play, that's what it would be, is he doesn't really... Oftentimes it seems like he gets into matches and doesn't have a plan to go take his 3rd unless he has absolutely dominant map control. And even then, sometimes not. He tries to end the game oftentimes off 2 bases. Machine taking every single other expansion on the map except the islands. And Hay moving out with a really... this almost looks like a pithy attack force comparative to what Machine has fielded, really.
Yeah, I mean... Machine just dominant play, and I actually like that. Like if you look at his resources, he's actually banked close to 2,000 minerals as it is. So one of the ways you can spend this money as a Zerg and get high potential for return is to just overexpand. Because what is the Terran going to do? They're not the most mobile race, so he can't go around picking off multiple expansions, especially when these mutas have air control. And to queen up at each of these bases suddenly means like an extra 30 larvae or something ridiculous. So I like this reaction to kind of put the nail in that coffin. But you know what? If we want to talk about a hero comeback, it is possible. Hay does have 3 Ravens, and if Machine just doesn't pay attention for 2 seconds, and some Hunter Seekers blow up everything, suddenly we're talking about the Rudy comeback of the century.
It's very possible. It looks like Hay is starting to open, and this is the one, I'm sorry, I should say the gold expansion not taken by Machine. So the one expansion, the only expansion the Machine does not have, now being taken out. Muta's continuing to dive in. It looks like they're just crushing everything here. And this is the one thing I would say was weakness in Machine's play, is when he has an overwhelming lead and he should just start building crushing amounts of like Brood Lords or something along those lines, he's a little bit late to do that. It looks like Hunter Seeker missiles he's going to retreat from, because right now, I mean, he has enough gas, enough economy where he's maxed army. He could transition to Brood Lords or, Ultralisks or something gigantic, no problem. But he'll stick to this mid-game army for a little bit too long and continue to macro up when he really doesn't need to. I mean, you might as well just, crush this. And losing a couple of Mulisks in the meantime, but still in firm control of this. He's got a big army that he can almost suicide and afford to lose on a regular basis. Roach is coming from the north. Baneling's coming in from between. And, oh my gosh, nothing left after they cross there. There's GG. So, hey.